How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, the HS70 Pro is Corsair's latest upgrade to their HS70 budget wireless gaming headset that was released around a year or two back. The HS70 Pro is retailing for around $80 or 1,600 Rand, which does make it one of the more affordable wireless gaming headsets again, and actually around the same price as the Void Elites, which I also took a look at a while back. So these ones do compete against each other as well, but they do look different and also feel different. But now if you guys want to see a full comparison between these two, subscribe, because I am going to make a comparison video comparing the HS70 Pro to the Void Elite wireless soon, so yeah, check out for that. Now, I will mention that I did not review the HS70 when it was released, but to my knowledge, pretty much all of the first generation HS headsets has the exact same build and material, so I am going to compare it mostly to the HS50s that I do own, that I've reviewed, and again, to my knowledge, they're pretty much going to be the same as the first generation, but just keep that in mind. Overall, there aren't really that many differences between the HS70 and the HS70 Pro. You still get the more simplistic design, which I honestly do prefer. It's much more subtle, but you still get the same adjustable metal frame that allows for a reasonable amount of flex and twisting. The frame still unfortunately has that thin metal connection between the headband's frame and the ear cups frame, which might be a potential breaking point if you are rough with your headset. But of course, if you do take care of your headset, then that's not going to be a problem. I have dropped the HS70 a few times from off the table, and they're honestly still completely fine. Same goes with the HS50s, so the build construction isn't really a drawback for these headsets. So of course, just don't chuck them at the wall if you do have some rage going on in game. Also, just like the previous models, you do still get the exact same controls on the ear cups themselves, where you do have your volume scroller, your mic mute button, an indicator LED, the detachable mic port, and then also the power button. Comfort-wise, you do still get the quite thick but hard headbands padding at the top, but it does seem like Corsair went with thicker cushions, but with a different leatherite material. I do like that they are thicker. It makes it much more comfortable, does a better job of making a seal around your ear, and then also, most importantly, it does reduce the amount of ear scratching against the driver wall. That was honestly the biggest complaint that I had with the previous HS70 headsets, where my ears would scratch against the driver wall. Now, I am prone to that issue, so if you're not, then of course this doesn't apply to you that much, but I am glad that they did add the thicker padding to reduce that somewhat. It's still not entirely gone. My ears still scratch a tiny bit against the driver wall, but it's a lot better. As for the new leatherite padding they used on the cushions, it is much softer compared to the previous versions, but I do also feel like they do get a bit hotter as well. Currently it is a summer here, and if you do not have your aircon on, then they do get a bit toasty after a while. Now, as for clamping force, just like the previous versions, it's not enough to crush your skull, but just enough to prevent the headset from falling off too easily. Now, as for connectivity, the only way to connect to this headset is by using the 2.4 GHz USB adapter, which is nice. It does allow for a much lower latency for a gaming with that 2.4 GHz compared to like a Bluetooth. But because that's the only way to use it, you can't use it with a 3.5mm jack, either with your phone or just connect it to your PC. And then also the included micro USB cable is only for charging. It doesn't allow audio pass through that. You can charge it and then use it wirelessly, but yeah, that's the only option, is wireless with the 2.4 GHz receiver, so definitely don't lose that. As for the wireless range, just like the previous version, it is around 40 feet, which in real world scenario is around you moving to 1 or maybe 2 rooms away. I was able to get around a 1 room between a double brick wall without any issues, and even sometimes going outside, but not too far of course, but it's mostly for indoor use anyway. Also, just a mention, don't put the USB receiver behind your PC or below anything, because it might lose connection or have some audio drops. So yeah, just keep that in mind as well. Moving on to battery life, Corsair states that it does have 16 hours of use, but in reality you're probably going to get around 10 to 12 hours. I was able to get around 2 days of partial use without needing to charge it again, so it's definitely good enough. Then getting into sound quality, it looks like Corsair is still using the exact same 50mm neodymium drivers compared to the HS70s, which I honestly do not have any complaints on. They do sound quite good with a decently balanced frequency range, but it does have a tad bit more at the lower end, which I honestly kind of do prefer for a gaming headset. As for gaming, you do of course have your virtual 7.1 option if you wanted to enable that in the PC, but unfortunately it doesn't work on PlayStation 4, only for PCs. So then moving on to the microphone, you do get a nice detachable, bendable mic with a nice wind muff as well, which you can take off, but is going to help reduce some of those pops and this wind on the microphone. Now, the microphone looks to be a tiny bit different compared to the previous HS70's mic. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be that much necessarily. Again, I don't have the exact mic to compare it to, but they do state that this mic does have a noise cancellation built in, so you guys can hear how it sounds. There is some noise in the background going on outside, but nothing too crazy. And then also you do have some room noise, some hissing going on, but it's also not too crazy. Now, let's quickly just type on a chair, makes a brown switch keyboard over here, so you guys can hear how that sounds. So it is still quite noticeable. So the noise cancellation isn't necessarily the greatest, but luckily inside like OBS or Streamlabs, you do have your noise gates and so on that you can apply to help reduce that anyway. But all in all, the microphone definitely isn't bad. It's good enough to just chat with your friends. Maybe if you want to stream, you can still use it, but of course, an external USB microphone or condenser microphone would be best for that. Then finally, just for the IQ software, you do have the standard controls like adjusting your EQ settings, your mic and side tone volumes, auto shutdown, and then also seeing your battery life. Nothing too crazy there, because also again this headset doesn't have any RGB, which is probably a good thing. So then in conclusion, the HS70 Pro is definitely one of the better wireless budget gaming headsets currently on the market, just like they had with their HS70. And I wouldn't say that you need to sell your HS70 to buy the newer version. It does have that big of a differences between the two, but a nice little upgrade that they did add wasn't much appreciated. Now, just like I mentioned with the HS50s when I reviewed these ones, the headset is almost perfect. The only gripes that I still have with the HS70 Pros as well is that my ears do still scratch against the driver wall. I would like to see some padding against that, kind of like you get on the HyperX Clouds. They're super comfortable and they just add a tiny bit of extra padding against the driver wall so your ears don't scratch against that and irritate you. So that is one of the things. And also finally, they could just add a 3.5mm jack to the headset so that if you wanted to take it in public or somewhere else, you can actually use it on your phone or whatever and still be able to actually listen to music or watch movies or something like that. Just using it in wireless mode, you can use it with a USB adapter, but honestly, just adding a 3.5mm jack, I don't think it's that big of a problem. But no, that's pretty much it. A big thanks to Corsair for sending the HS70 Pros over for review. Again, subscribe if you want to see me comparing the HS70 Pros to the Void Elites, because they're, again, pretty much the exact same price point. So subscribe for that. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this review, please like, share, subscribe, and comment like always. And then I will check all of you next time. Cheers, guys.